exciting. Scary. Very scary. This is a Yamadori I picked out of a bog in spring 2020. Been waiting to work on it, waiting for it to show me some vigor, and it has done that. I actually have a little cone growing over here, so that is certainly a sign of health. And you can just tell, you know, if you've been following this tree back in spring 2020, if I can get a comparison shot here, that'd be great. It's just filled out so much, right? Really turning into more of a bush at this point, which is what you want to see, but it does mean I need to thin it out a little bit. I'm not going to do a full-blown styling on this and do heavy branch removal after watching the Mirai live streams. You know, if you haven't heard of Mirai, you know, Ryan Neal, he's fantastic, and he has a couple of different streams where he's working on Thuja accidentalis. And it's actually a tree that was collected from the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, near Lake Superior. So, hey, Great Lakes Bonsai, Great Lakes region, really cool and inspiring to see someone at his level working on a tree like this. We'll go ahead and get to it. All right, so right here I've got this really big, massive branch that I actually cut back this spring, and it's just throwing everything a little bit out of balance. I know I need to take it back to give more focus on the apex, so I'm actually going to cut this back. I don't want to make this large of a cut flush to my descending branch over here. That's going to take some time to heal over, of course, so I'd rather turn it into gin. Alright guys, wired it up, thinned it out. This Thuja is looking, I think, okay. Shortened up this branch that was distracting visually a lot into some deadwood. I probably will manicure that a little bit later. We've got this really funky drop branch coming down and then a U shape back up. Again, that was natural. It's the way that it came with the tree. It does look similar to something strange that I'd see with a Thuja in a bog, so I'm going to keep it for now, keep it for now, keep it for now. The drop branch debate. It's a tough one, it really is. This photo's from August, as was all of that footage that you just saw with the initial kind of half styling, wiring down into the left-hand side, bringing that apex up a little bit with a guy wire, and then debating about this drop branch and whether I should keep it. I'd love to hear your feedback. Do you hate it? Do you love it? Would you cut it? Would you keep it? I listed out pros and cons. So on the negative side, it's not really a branch that fits the traditional bonsai model. It's a little unorthodox. It could finish down below the branch on the left-hand side, which is kind of strange and a no-no. And it also, you know, in this photo, you look at it, it doesn't have a lot of taper. It doesn't have a lot of movement. In fact, there's a dead straight section right where it exits the trunk. And it kind of juts over the right-hand side, throwing off the image a little bit. So those are the negatives. The positives, it's the only branch that I have on the right-hand side of the tree. So it's really all I've got to work with to make sure this is a balanced image to some extent. Granted, we could always do grafting, but right now, that's all I've got. And then the item that makes the difference and the decision easy for me is that it's natural, right? It's a wild Yamadori collected tree, and it tells the story of where it was growing. It was growing in a bog with really intense straight line winds off of a big inland lake and a lot of snow load in the winter. And it shows that. The drop branch tells that story. There are pieces to a Yamadori that we love and that we want to preserve, and this is one of them for me. So here we are today. I've made some changes to it. Let me know what you think. You can see if I take the foliage back here a little bit that I was able to get some movement induced into this branch and bring it in closer to the trunk to kind of compress the image a little bit more and work in harmony with that branch on the left-hand side. I'm super geeked, and you may notice this is raffia. So what raffia does is it compresses all of the tissue evenly so that that pressure is distributed evenly when you're making really big bends. It allows you to make more intense bends. And I had never used it before. The application actually ended up being pretty. I'll show you a couple pictures here of close-ups of the raffia. But I went back to Bonsai Mirai, man. Great tutorial on raffia application. I practiced on one dead branch to see if I could figure it out, and then I just went for it. And I'm really pleased with how it ended up. This is roughly the front. You can see I've got a lot more movement compared to the photo itself. I was able, again, bring it in closer to the trunk and drop it down quite a bit more severely. I didn't hear any cracking when I was doing this procedure, so that's a good thing, and the branch has grown a lot since then. So I think that means we're in the clear, and I'm just relieved that my first attempt at raffia actually worked, actually got some movement, and didn't kill the branch. You notice this branch up here did not survive. I bent it around the trunk to try and fill in this area on the left-hand side, and it died back. And that's part of why I went with the raffia. I had just used copper wire on that one, and I thought, hey, raffia insulates it a little more, distributes that pressure better on a big piece, and ended up doing it. So learn from your failures in that case. I will need to graft something in this area to probably take a little bit of negative space over here. Even though the deadwood does a nice job of supplementing on that left side and balancing things, I would love to get a branch over here. We'll talk about grafting later. Let's talk about the plan for this tree going forward. This raffia will come off next summer, but more immediately, springtime, I've got a lot of pruning to do on this tree. I'm going to take off this entire right-hand section. Feel free to comment, disagree, whatever you feel, but I know I'm not going to use all of this that juts out to the right-hand side. I'm going to focus on this apex internally, sweeping back to the left-hand side here. I'm going to try and make it go harder to the left so that this piece can finish off to the right. And I'm going to take this apex down to probably right in here. So gin back towards the trunk, gin down towards this branch here, and I'm hoping for some back budding. So that's the idea. Wait and see if I get back budding from those big chops in spring, and then apply raffia to the apex to kind of finalize that trunk movement. And then we'll probably start talking about grafting starting in 2023. And by the way, this massive box that this tree is in, I'm going to leave in for one more year, especially since I'm doing that pruning work in the spring and raffia work in the summer. And then this will be due for a repot in spring of 2023 when we might do some grafting. So appreciate you guys tagging along as always. Let me know what you think. What would you have done differently? Like and subscribe, because there's definitely more to come. And cheers. We will see you next time.